Civil rights didn't write your resume, but civil rights made somebody read your resume. Don't act like whatever you achieved because you were that smart. You got there because some unlettered grandmas who never saw an inside of a college campus put their bodies on the line in Alabama and Mississippi and sponsored you up
here. Welcome to Beyond the Walls, our community most talked about radio show. We're broadcasting live tonight from the 1460 KTYM studios right here in Inglewood, California. I am your host, the Reverend K.W. Toulis, pastor of the historical Weller Street Missionary Baptist Church here in Los Angeles and Western Regional Director of the National Action Network, where the Reverend Al Sharpton is our founder and national president. We welcome each and every one of our listening audience tonight to our weekly and exciting radio broadcast, a live in-studio radio program designed to drive you, our listening audience, beyond the walls to action. National Action Network, our community most prominent civil rights organization, a group that's at the forefront of every social justice and civil rights issue across this country. Our desire is simply to desire that spirit of engagement in your community concern and get you involved with National Action Network, an organization that operates daily in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His spirit is alive and well within the very fabric of our community. National Action Network, it gets no better. And we welcome you to Beyond the Walls tonight. You can get involved every day by coming down to our office, our Western Regional office that's located at 2828 West Jefferson Boulevard, right on the corner of 9th Ave and Jefferson, in the Concord Church facility, where the pastor Bill Hemphill is the pastor. That's where each day you can come down and get involved with some unique opportunity to become freedom fighters, to get beyond the walls, carrying out the platform of social justice. Each broadcast, our desire is simply to guide you, our spiritual and our community-based organization, Beyond the Walls to National Action Network. And I'm so glad, brothers and sisters, I'm not on this crusade by myself. Each week, I'm going to be joined by many of our NAN family members who's going to help us to drive you beyond the walls. Welcome, family.
Welcome. Good
welcome.
to see you, Doc. Glad you made it back safely.
I'm glad to be here. How's everybody doing tonight?
Okay.
We're doing good. We thank you for tuning in again this week to another powerful and very informative session of Beyond the Walls. This is Reverend Jonathan J. Mosley, the Vice President of LA Chapter of the National Action Network.
This is Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin, pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church.
I'm Jo Helen Shoemate. I'm the chairperson of membership for the Los Angeles chapter of the National Action Network. And I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Granny's Kitchen over at 5440 South Central Avenue. They're open from Tuesday through Sunday from 8 a.m. until 11 for breakfast and 12 until 8 for lunch. When you go by, ask for the radio special, which is $4.99, which consists of 2 pieces of chicken, 1 side, and 1 muffin and a drink for $4.99. And Eric Lewis is the proprietor. And I want to give a shout out also to Raise the Praise, the church newspaper. They are our other sponsor. I want to give a shout out to Reverend Frederick Howard, the owner. So whenever you have your church event, be sure and call Raise the Praise and have it advertised in the church community newspaper. And their phone number is 888-290-7277.
And I'm Robert Bush, Vice President of Marketing for National Action Network Los Angeles and for the Western region. It's good to be here.
And so happy to have you back in the city, Robert. I'm so happy to be back, as Pastor Martin alluded to earlier today. Family, we had an action-packed week last week, Dr. Martin, and that's what we're all about, right?
That's right. And thank God that you're still on the job, and glad you made it back safely from that delayed flight.
That's right.
Keep,
Got here just
you
in
keep
time.
a lot of things going all week long. People don't realize how hard you be working.
God eyes on a sparrow. I know he watches me, Reverend Jay.
Absolutely. I mean, it delayed but not denied. Glad that
go.
you're here.
Listen, family, we broadcast tonight in the spirit of those 9 last week as we signed off. Little did we know that we was going to sign off and go into news of talking about South Carolina. And, we want to just continue to keep the families of those affected in the shooting, the 9 that lost their lives in South Carolina. We know that many of their funeral services are taking place on this week. And we want to just continue to keep that in our prayers. And we're going to have a nice, long conversation. But just some of the other things that we had going on this week. I mean, how was your Father's Day, fellas?
Beautiful.
Interesting.
Well, I guess it wasn't all that then.
Well, when I drove down Crenshaw Boulevard, not to my surprise, dismay, there wasn't a whole bunch of vendors out there with balloons and bunnies and anything like that. But, that's the way it goes.
But I want to thank my members. Somebody did give me $100 to go eat with.
Well,
Praise
praise the
God.
Lord.
Did you go to Granny's
For
Kitchen?
Father's Day.
Did you go to Granny's Kitchen?
No, I didn't get that to Granny's Kitchen. I
All
went
right.
out. They had barbecue at the house.
All right. Well, that's a good thing.
Please get to Granny's Kitchen.
Miss Shoemate was a casualty last week to Granny's Kitchen. She kinda
Let
ate
me
too
live
many-
it down.
Sleep. Huh?
too many neck bones, and she kind of dozed off, Brother Bush. But I want to, first of all, send a shout out to Pastor Logan, who on Saturday hosted a citywide
Father's Day.
salute to fathers.
Yeah.
Wonderful opportunity for us all to come together as dads. As Reverend Jay say, Father's Day is not as celebrated as Mother's Day, but we do recognize the importance of Father's Day, right, Robert?
That's right.
We do. That they say you can find a reservation at any restaurant on Father's Day.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Wow.
No crowd.
Well, my kids actually took me out for Father's Day, and
Hey,
we got right in the restaurant.
I know you did.
I got on
No line, no wait.
I got on a plane and headed to Dallas, Texas, to celebrate Father's Day with my dad, and
Excellent.
we got right into the restaurant. And I headed on to New Orleans.
Nolans.
New Orleans. Yeah, there you go.
Nolans.
But Robert, I mean, so we had a wonderful day on Father's Day, and then that night we all got together, the family, at the J Spot. National Action Network sponsored the J Spot. We had a wonderful time.
Excellent time. I was so glad to see so many of our members of National Action Network LA to be in the audience, being in the house that night. It was very comedic or comical at some of the comics that were there. And we do want to give a shout out and thank J. Anthony Brown for allowing us that opportunity for conscious comedy.
I want to know if
Noel
Reverend Tulis.
Anderson.
I'm sorry. I want to know if Reverend Tulis got an opportunity to do his set.
No.
He did.
No, I
he
got
didn't
an
take
opportunity.
advantage.
I got an
He
opportunity.
had the chance, but he didn't take
I got
it.
an opportunity to get on stage, which I was honored to really highlight National Action Network. And Robert, I literally froze up.
Not
And
you.
I got froze.
You
know?
did that was
I
a big
was
a
secret
preacher.
till now.
It was so hilarious how they was clowning Pastor Lewis Logan.
Yep.
Oh God.
And I just could not come back out. I couldn't come after that G thing, whatever his name is, G thing. I mean, it was just, we had a wonderful time. It was just a wonderful fellowship. So glad to have so many out. Miss Shoemate was out.
Yes, she
all
was.
night long.
Yeah, Pastor Logan, we love you, man. You took-
AKA Billy D. Williams. That's
what
per
they
one of
said.
those comedians.
yeah, boy, you took a whole lot for the team that night.
And then Pastor
Set up
Martin,
front.
how was, now I want to say thank you, Pastor Martin, because on Monday you had an opportunity in my absence to run our chapter meeting How was our meeting on Monday night?
We had a terrific meeting
That's
Monday
right.
night. Everyone was fired up and anxious and ready to go to bring justice for that city of Charles, South Carolina. Pastor Logan was there and gave us a glowing report. Sister Rashida, our Police Accountability Committee leader, was there, so she gave us a lot of hope for those bills that we're working on. I think SB 227, another one is 11, and the third one, I can't remember the nomenclature, but they're working their way through. But listening audience, we need to get behind these bills, and we're going to be putting it up on the Facebook page, National Action Network, so that we can call the senators and assembly people and let them know we want these bills to become law.
So again, we asked all of our listeners, we need you, because one of the bills we was pushing very heavily, AB 86, was actually voted out of appropriation. It didn't make it. And so we need as many people to get involved and get engaged to come down. You know, we hear about all this police violence that's taking place in our community, but this is a great opportunity for us as a community to get organized. So make your way down to our office, 2828 West Jefferson Boulevard, right on the corner of 9th Ave and Jefferson. If you want to call us, 323-521-3477. And so, Pastor Martin, we thank you so much for doing a fabulous job in leading our meeting. And we want to thank Attorney Rashida Kilpatrick and Pastor Louis E. Logan and all of our members for coming and being a part and being engaged with National Action Network. Pastor Jay.
Yes, it's very important that we stay engaged. We're trying to make sure that there is a platform for us to not only be informed, but also to verbalize and be vocal concerning these matters. And we definitely want you to please make sure that you stay in contact with your legislators and keeping them informed of not only your dissatisfaction with what is going on, but also making sure to let them know your vote counts.
Your vote do count. And so we're going to be doing a few things in this summer to get people engaged and mobilized around voting and getting engaged and mobilized around many of our community issues. Tonight, as we started our program, with remembering those in South Carolina, the 9 that that lost their life to a senseless crime over a hate crime. A lot of people don't want to call it what it is, but
Terrorism.
It is what it is. It was
Domestic
a hate crime.
terrorists and assassination.
And, you know, I'm so glad to be a part of an organization that has been on the case in South Carolina. I remember during the time of our convention, you all, we had the shooting of Walter Scott in South Carolina. He was shot in the back. And then as we had the shootings on last week, we have one wonderful, faithful leader in the region of South Carolina, and that's Elder Johnson. Welcome to Beyond the Walls, Elder Johnson. Come on, Beyond the Walls. Let's show him some love.
All right.
Welcome, Doc. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So happy to have you here tonight. We're talking about South Carolina, and I want you to, you know, kind of give us an idea of the community. How's things going in South Carolina, Elder?
Well, it's going as well to expected. We are united in the effort to hold the community together in peace and harmony, where people across the world are embarking on Charleston, South Carolina. They're bringing their love and their gifts to the family. So it's going to be a long road, but we are hanging in there, and we thank you all down there for your prayers in California, and we're going to need it. This is a long, hard road here. This history only repeats itself.
Absolutely. And how are the survivors doing? Because I was looking at MSNBC last evening and saw late civil rights widow Merlene Evers talking. She was very on point about how even after all these years, it's still a very difficult thing to deal with.
It's very difficult. I want to give you a little history about the church. Mother Emanuel is 200 years old, and In 2016, it was founded. 1816 it was founded. In 1822, Demok Vesey, one of our black leaders at the time in Charleston, held a rebellion against the slave owners there. They were caught, and they were all 34 of them were hung. The church went in underground. So we date back from this time to this time. It only repeats itself. So the church itself is no stranger to violence by Ku Klux Klan's men. Because,
Amen to that, brother.
And like I said earlier, history only repeats itself. Now, here we go, 2015, and almost the same thing by the Klansmen this time also.
What are your thoughts on the way Governor Nikki Haley is handling the situation?
I think that she had to do what she did. What she did simply because the eyes of the world was looking on South Carolina, and the awful crime. I guess it touched her heart too, because this is not the first time we talked about the flag with Governor Haley, and she said that it wasn't an issue, and that no business that were coming to South Carolina even talked to her about taking the flag down until this happened. And I guess her emotional feelings got to her, and she decided that she wanted to lead the fight in taking the flag down.
So is there a feeling that she's, can I say flip-flopped for political gain?
Yes, she did. Our governor is the governor of the Tea Party, so she has to she actually do exactly what the Tea Party tells her to do. But I guess her conscience actually bothered her this time, and she decided that she was going to lead the fight in getting the flag down. So
we're so excited about all the work that you all have been doing on the ground. National Action Network, you and Reverend Rivers have done a marvelous job in leading the fight. I wanted to know what is the next step now after this Confederate flag? I mean, we know that they're going to take it down out of the state capitol. What's the next step now?
The next step after this, God sometimes take lives to change a nation or to change a city. Sometimes lives, and it's like Dr. King's life, and his life was taking a lot change. So what we're planning on doing now, economic development, better education for black folks. We live in a city that still reaps millions and millions of dollars off the back of the slaves. People come here to see the slave market. They come here to see the town that slaves built, and they reap $1 billion a year on tourism. So we want some of that. We want better education, better homes, better jobs. So we will be addressing those issues once it's all over and people has gone, the media have leave. We have to get down to really make a difference in South Carolina. Hopefully, we will be a model for the whole world, at least America. After Walter Scott's shooting, we really went all out to show the world that we don't have to burn our buildings, poke out our windows or whatever. We wanted to show the world that we still can love it, and we still wanted to show the world that black folks don't have to do the things that they think that we were going to do. So what we're doing that.
We thank you so much for all that you're doing. Reverend Sharpton has a wonderful leader on the ground in Charleston, and yourself, Elder. And we look forward to the great things to come. Beyond the Walls, Elder James Johnson. Come on, let's show him some love. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Be praying with you tomorrow, brother.
Hey, brother, we thank you.
Yes, sir.
God bless.
Elder James Johnson, Charleston, South Carolina. You heard right from the streets of South Carolina, and we're thankful for all the work they're doing in Charleston. Miss Jo Helen Shoemate, Miss Shoemate, give us the community 411.
Well, as you know, last week we had Michael Reel on, and he has the urbannews.com, realurbannews.com, and they are presenting an event on next Wednesday, July 1st, from 6:30 until 8 p.m. at Tabernacle of Faith, where they will have a civil rights live panel of many familiar folk in the Los Angeles community. They are Carl Douglas, the attorney who worked with Johnny Cochran many years ago, retired LA Police Captain Kyle Jackson, Angela Powell, Lisa Bloom, and Jamon Hicks, and Tony Sayan. They'll be on a panel discussing the issues in the community. So we want to invite our the folk who listen to KTYM, to go out and support this event on next Wednesday, July 1st from 6:30.
And that's a pretty
until
powerful
8
panel.
p.m.
So especially all of our listeners in the Watts area, Tabernacle of Faith is one of those prominent community churches. And to have individuals like Carl Douglas and Lisa Bloom in the neighborhood giving free legal advice, having conversations of how we can continue to come together as preachers is something that's very, very important.
Let me give the address. It is 11328 South Central Avenue, and it's Tabernacle of Faith Baptist Church. And for further information, you can call 323-533-9609.
What else we got going on, Miss Shoemate?
Well, that's about it. That's going on this
I
week.
thought you had a trip coming up.
Oh, the trip has been postponed.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing.
So
Well, you got to let folks know.
we're postponing it until next year.
That's where you're going to the Valley View or something?
No.
Going somewhere.
VA House.
Oh, VA House. So we're so thankful. Listen, we got some special guests in our studios today. I think we have a phone call, right?
Yes, we do, all the way from Carson.
We okay, and then we're gonna get to the young preachers of LA.
There you go. From the city of Carson, the newly elected councilman in Carson, our brother and our friend, Pastor Reverend Dr. Joanne Hilton.
Welcome, council member, pastor.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Congratulations, Brother Hilton.
Oh man, I'm excited just to be on. These are the real preachers of LA. Toolist, Jonathan Mosley, Juwan Hilton, Xavier Thompson. That's the real preachers of LA.
Yep. And we got the young preachers in LA that's
Yes,
in the
sir.
studio that you're gonna be hearing from in a few minutes.
The next
Maybe your
generation.
little brothers are in the house. But Pastor Hilton, we want to congratulate you on a job well done for a successful campaign in the city of Carson. We're so excited, and we're glad that you stopped back by to tell many of our listeners thank you for their support of your campaign.
Yeah, man. Certainly, I just wanted to reach out personally and just say thank you for your vote of confidence. And it was a long, hard fight. The community, I believe we were woke up this time. We didn't fall asleep at the wheel, and we're not going to fall asleep anymore. I believe this election not only presents a new day in Carson, but it also woke a lot of people up who have been asleep and sitting idly by.
Yes, and you shook up the city, and we're looking forward to your new administration and you carrying out on the term of the Assemblymember Mike Gibson. And, you know, what are some of the things that we should be looking forward to in the city of Carson?
Well, first thing we have that's a hot ticket item is our NFL stadium.
Wow.
All right.
Are you lobbying for my team, the Raiders, to get back?
I am lobbying for your team as well as the San Diego Chargers.
Well, they can
But
stay.
most of all,
You're in the Raiders now.
This is a
Most of all-
realization, man.
most of all, I'm lobbying for our community to get some jobs,
There you go.
Right, there
some
you go.
quality jobs.
There you go.
And, I want to make sure that our community has quality jobs. I don't want our people in our community just holding signs, but I want them to have some executive suites and stuff like that. So my main concern, I'm not a football fan or anything like that, but I just know that this stadium would bring some economic stability
That's right.
to not only to Carson, but to the South Bay and to the surrounding cities. So I'm excited.
You're not a
just to
football
be-
fan, but you're a community fan, and you've always been a pastor with the heart of the community. And the city of Carson is blessed to have someone of your stature to serve them, someone that's not just going to be an empty suit, but someone that's going to literally really bring about change in our city of Carson.
And the last 2 days, past 2 is that I've been sitting in City Hall in my office the last couple of days. That's been on the forefront of my mind as we always talk about being an empty suit. And I definitely don't want to be an empty suit, but I want to be able to come in and create policy as well as legacy, and to make sure that they know that I've passed that way when I leave that way.
Pastor Mosley wanted me to ask you, do you have an open door policy?
Absolutely.
Because we plan on storming down the city hall, just showing up.
Yeah, unannounced.
And
if I'm in the building, you definitely get to meet with me.
All right.
And I've always told people on the whole campaign, I'm always going to be approachable and accessible. I was the only candidate that put my actual telephone number on my pamphlets, where people would call and ask me questions, and it won't be any different. They can call me now at 310-740-9363.
You just gave it. That's the council member number.
There it is.
You got it.
You got any questions?
740-9363.
He's giving it up.
That's it. And listen, Pastor Mosley, I'm looking at his wife. He has a date night scheduled for Friday in Carson at the new movie theater. You're doing a lot of economic development things going on. So I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do. I got these young preachers of L.A. They taking selfies. Matter of fact, I'm looking at one of your little proteges. His birthday is today.
Oh, happy birthday, Malik.
Reverend
Yeah,
Malik.
he's here, Doc. He's
in the
here.
house on his birthday. And we wanted to just say thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. And Los Angeles, the new city councilman of the city of Carson, council member Jawan Hilton. Pastor, how do we get in contact with you? Where's your church located at? They might don't want to wait to come to the city council, but they come to the church.
They don't have to come to City Hall, but they can come to the City on the Hill.
All right.
Our church address is 16425 Ishida Avenue, Carson, California, 90248. Don't meet me here, beat me here. And services start at 10:30 every Sunday morning. I'm getting ready to walk into Bible study now. Wednesday night, we're in Bible study from 7 to 8. I can't preach family and not allow you to spend time with your family. So we don't be eternal to be effective. We believe God can move, and we can get on out of here and go be with our families or work in our communities.
There you go.
Pastor Jawan Hill, welcome him to come on. Thank you so much for calling in, Pastor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
All right. Peace.
All right, now we got some guests.
We do have some guests here today. As we said, we have the young preachers of L.A. These young preachers are setting our city on fire. I'm so happy to say that I've watched them all grow, watched their various ministries. They've all preached for me, doing revivals, youth revivals, and preached at Weller Street. And, we're just so happy to have them. And one of the things that we've been doing at National Action Network is we've been really focusing with our youth move.
That's right.
How can we get more young people involved? I mean, we're living in a different time and different generation. Here I am. I'm 37 years old, and I'm seeming like I'm so out of touch, Pastor Martin, with so many of the new gadgets and different things of that manner. But one of the desires is for us to get individuals engaged and involved, and we have 4 of Los Angeles' finest young preachers in the house. Welcome, Beyond the Walls, young preachers.
Young preachers.
Come on, let's give them some love.
All right. All right.
Young preachers of L.A.
Reverend Denon Williams.
Y'all introduce yourself.
My name is Minister Denon Williams of the Grace Temple Baptist Church. My pastor is Bishop Michael Marcus Broad, a senior in the city of Los Angeles.
My name is Elder Christopher Grundy from the New Antioch Church of God in Christ. My pastor is Superintendent Jeffrey Martin Lewis in the city of Los Angeles.
My name is Minister Malik Morris. I am youth minister at the Grove Christian Bible Church in Inglewood, California, where my pastor is my grandfather, Dr. Curtis D. Morris Sr., in the city of Inglewood.
This is Minister Akila Roten Jr. of Faith Inspirational Missionary Baptist Church, where my pastor is Pastor Rafer Owens, City of Compton.
All right, preachers. We called you in today because there's been a bridge, or should I say a disconnect, that we have not listened to your voices to find out what are your feelings on what's going on in the community, the brutality, police brutality, what's going on in Charleston. And matter of fact, what's going on in our community just happened, what was it, last night? Somebody speak up.
Yeah, last night we found out this morning that a teenager, young black woman, was shot and killed last night in Long Beach, and the police don't know who did it. They don't have no evidence on it, and I think that it's a real tragedy. Not only the killing in Charleston, but what's happening in our own communities. That the young members that we preach to, the same congregation that we minister to on a weekly basis, are being shot in cold blood. So I think it's really, really important that we, as the young preachers of LA, that we really get together and get more involved in our community and what's really going on in our city.
Good, because you guys are the next generation. You are the upcoming preachers. There's a different culture from when I grew up. I'm a little bit older than Pastor Tudors by a couple of years. But what are you experiencing now? What really goes on that is really shaking you to the core?
One thing that is very baffling and sad that is shaking me to the core is the fact that we can, it's so hard as is to try to get youth to come to church. I mean, me being 15, going to Dorsey High School, it's so hard just to even help them to even try to acknowledge God. I mean, baby steps, just trying to get them to see who God is. And then the biggest step is trying to get them to come to church. Well, it's kind of like it sets us 10 steps back, because now they feel as if now they're not even safe in church. When you look at what's happened in Charleston, North Carolina, I mean, it's like it really puts a hedge, it puts a wall in between us and trying to reach our generation, because now it's like I'm not safe in church, I'm not safe outside of church. So the church isn't even safe anymore. So that's what's shaking us to the core.
So what I believe that, this is a unique opportunity, Reverend Grundy, for young people to really, really, really see the need of Christ. And what are some of the things that you all have in mind? I know I love the brotherhood that you have. It remind me of the brotherhood I had with many of my other colleagues. What are some of the things that you all plan on doing to really make a difference and to bring about awareness that, coming to church is a safe thing to do?
Well, I think it's getting the trust, regaining the trust of the youth and the young people. There was a time that even as Pastor Mosley said, that times have changed, and there was a time that even the young people respected the church, whether or not they believed in it or not. They respected and trusted the church. We're living in a time that they don't even trust the church because they lost trust in the church and it's not even people outside, but the people inside. So one of the steps is regaining the trust of the young people. But then a question comes to mind as we were talking earlier about this is, where have we as the church gone wrong when it comes to reaching the people? Where have we went wrong in our witness, in our everyday walk, just within our communities, and how we interact with people, how we communicate with them, how we talk to them, how we deal with them? These people are hurting, and they're looking for answers, and they're looking to the church for answers. And sometimes they come to find that the church either is not responding to them, or the church is either talking at them and not talking with them.
Right. Now, it's very interesting because, this is a generation that from fads to fashions, it becomes very complex to come to church and see that somebody walking into the pulpit has a pair of Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger. When do we go, this next generation, pull up your pants?
That's how they dress.
Okay. Sagging and bagging, huh?
I think I can answer that. Coming from the urban community, one of the things Elder Grundy just said, what can we possibly do? One of the things I think we need to do in this new generation is to not raise them in church, but raise them in Christ. And once you raise them in Christ, that love that they will have, ultimately the respect will follow right after. You see, my generation, they call us the Joshua generation. We're dealing with post crack and post gangs and post all these different things. And so going to Sunday school and going to church 4 or 5 times a week doesn't help anything, because once we leave church, we're back in the midst of what we're dealing with. And so once we get them in the catalyst of understanding Jesus outside of the church, because once you accept Jesus, then you become the church. See, that's the thing. We want to raise our children in church, making sure they have their ties on and their dresses on and their stockings and things like that. Our generation, like he just said, Calvin Klein pants. And if that's what it's going to take for me to fall in love with Christ, then that's just what it's going to have to take. And we have to not be so dogmatic in a sense to be on religious structure, because then you become the Pharisees or Sadducees and you didn't miss the whole wave of people. Because when you have funerals for young people, it's more young people than anything there. I can name 15 people from the 8th grade that I've personally have to be in their funerals from gang violence. And these are just all men, young men that I've sat next to class with. And when you go to the repast and you go, they want to come to church. They love coming to church. But then they get church confused with Jesus. And that's two different things. And I think once we raise them in Christ, everything else will follow after.
He said something very interesting there. He said, raise them in Christ. And I think at home is where it all begins, because it was at home where Mom taught me how to pray.
There you go.
Mom read me my first Bible scripture.
Psalms 23.
So I don't think it's like he said, the church, because we are the church.
Absolutely.
So it's not necessarily going to the building, but if we're able to teach them at home and plant that seed at home, and then when they go out into the streets, they're able to at least have some combat against what they're facing, you know?
Right. Did anybody see Selma? Did you all see the movie Selma? Did you also notice how important it was in that movement that the young people were there?
Yeah.
And the charge that was given to them by Dr. King.
Right.
And even though that there was some disparity, even then, so there's nothing new to us, that there's cultural differences and that there are ideology differences. But at the end of the day, we all come together for one common goal.
That's right.
So that's what we want to see, you young people with the energy to come together and walk and work with National Action Network and whoever else you can.
Now, the question is, what do you all believe that we can do as an organization, as other groups are out there too? What do you think we can do to get young people more engaged around community concerns, community issues, taking their faith out to the front line?
I think one thing that we really can do is have more community involvement programs. There are a lot of programs out there that are offered to the church that the churches are not tapping into. I have the privilege of being the youth pastor at First New Christian Fellowship under Pastor Norman Johnson. And what we have now...
Who was one of my mentors on Faith on the Front Line.
Right. And one thing that we have going on even right now during the summertime, we just launched on Monday, is the Freedom School program. And now we have over 140 kids that's on our premises every day for the next 6 weeks. So this is something that we can all put into our churches, that we can implement into our churches, so our kids, our young people, and then our young adults can have something to do for 6 weeks. And then even after the summer, we're sparking some ignition. We're getting them fired up to do real ministry work, because this is what ministry is. It's really meeting, as Minister Keelan and Elder Grundy said, it's meeting them where they are. They need something to do.
Absolutely.
They need some type of, involvement to, get them active. But then, the times is changing. The way I was raised, my grandmother beat me and didn't have a problem with, putting that belt to me, So it's like I had to go to church. I didn't have a say-so if I wanted to be there or not. She made me go until I discovered Christ for myself. So now meeting them where they are, trying to tap into those resources that we can actually do.
And then another thing is, it's not so much that we do not have community programs offered to us. I'm privileged to be ASB president at Dorsey, and we
What's
have
ASB?
Leadership.
Leadership
So
president.
That's the entire school, basically.
Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Minister Leek Morris, president. So those are opportunities for young people to get engaged at their schools.
Right. Like we have one program that is very much thriving, and it's called Community Coalition. And when we started working with it, we started it through a program called Dorsey Youth Empowerment, when we started, we only had about 10 kids meeting in a classroom, just finding out certain things, what are protocols, what are procedures that you do when it comes to the law, trying to get you involved in trying to get your A and G requirements, making sure that your classes are right. We only had about 10 kids at first, but we were able to end it off with about 60 kids. And then we moved them into Community Coalition. So there are programs out there that are really influencing kids to get more aware of their education, more aware of their surroundings and social justice issues. It's just, as the church, we have to make sure that we're offering this to our kids. Because we're looking at it from a school perspective. We have so many kids coming in doing this. But when you look at it from a church perspective, outside of having youth days and youth explosions and revivals, what is your youth ministry doing? Does your youth ministry even know what to do when a police officer stops you? Does your young men know what to do when walking down the street and a police officer confronts them? Does your young women know what to do and respond if a police officer comes at them a certain way? Do they know that they need to have certain things done for their classes? So these are certain issues that our community is dealing with that we need to take more into action in the church.
That's right. And you just killed me. And I want you all to know, listen, we're running a little short on time today, but listen, I want you all to come back. I'll give you a platform anytime. And my challenge to you is to develop a program that will hit the issues of the young people. And if it's something that we can do at National Action Network to sponsor it and to raise money for it and to get you involved. Rev, I know you do a lot around media and filming and just hearing your voices and some of the things you do around arts and dance and things of that manner. You all are doing some amazing work, and I want you to know that you're the cream of the crop and our future is bright. But we want to continue to press folks to get beyond the walls. And we asked again that you all come back. We can get you back in here, get more time. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the South Carolina piece, right. So we have so much to talk about. But beyond the walls, let's give some love to Reverend Denon Williams, Elder Chris Grundy, Minister Wooten, and Minister Malik Morris. Come on, let's
All right. You want to thank these brothers.
Thank you, brothers.
Remember now thy creator the days of thy youth.
Before the evil days draw nigh.
Ms. Shoemake, give me some closing remarks.
Do what you going to do.
Just talk on the mic.
Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsors one last time. And they are Granny's Kitchen over at 5440 South Central Avenue. They are open from Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. until 11 for breakfast, 12 noon until 8 for dinner. Go in and ask for the radio special, which is $4.99. You get 2 pieces of chicken, one side order, a cornbread stick, and a drink. And ask for Eric.
Thank you, Ms. Shoemake. Robert?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, you're having a good time.
I want to shout out Dr. Benjamin Chavis of the Wilmington 10, who is the president of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, for a great conference this week.
That's right, Pastor Martin.
I want to give a shout out to the family of Sister Ethel Lance, who will be funeralized in Charleston tomorrow, and the family of Reverend Sharona Singleton, who will be funeralized likewise, and Reverend Sharpton will be participating in both of those funerals.
And our member, 102 years old.
Yes, I certainly don't want to forget Sister Olive McGarry, my member over there on 57th Street, around the corner from Granny's Kitchen, 102 years old, doing well.
We want to say, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and all of my preachers that came in tonight. Just thank you, and always remember there's a whole lot that has to be done and a lot that's still going on.
And as I close, I want to say it's good to be back in Los Angeles. I had to bring my children. I got to the house, dropped my suitcase off, and could not leave them at home. So I want to give a shout out to my son, Caleb. Say something to the world, Caleb. Just say hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
All right. Well, so Caleb, who's in the studio, my kids, Kaylin and Caden, who's over in the other area, I want to give them a shout out. Want to give a shout out to Sister J. Mo. Want to give a shout out to the young preachers of LA. We ought to do a reality show of you all making a difference. It's good to have Robert Bush back in the house.
That's right,
Mr.
Robert.
Shoemate. You have anything else? No, look. Meet me at National Action Network Monday night, 2828 West Jefferson Boulevard. Whatever you do, wherever you go, tell somebody to get involved. Get involved with National Action Network, an organization that's designed to make a difference in our community. Remember, family, we don't shake folks down.
We shake them up.
That's how we roll. See you next Monday.
Keep the faith.
7 p.m. God bless you. Good to see you, Ruben. Ruben in the house.